So as it is platform independent, Java's virtual machine takes care of creating a unique environment for running the program, and any Java program can contain one or more files. So this is totally different with C and C++, because for C and C++ everything should be written in a single file. But here we can have multiple files, and one file will have the main function. Okay, so multiple classes we can create. Only one file will act as a main file. So that will interact with all other files whenever the code is written inside that. So accordingly, Java can work, and Java program is compiled using Java C compiler. So .java file will be supplying as input to that, and it produces a .class extension file. So this contains a bytecode, machine understandable bytecode. So bytecode is a machine language. This is intended for Java virtual machine. So this virtual machine understands this. Now, so this is our Java program. So we have written it and saved it as hello world app.java. And we are using the compiler, and it will be interpreted, and according to the OS, the corresponding interpretation is supplied by the JVM. So if it is Win32 OS or Win64 OS, accordingly it will interpret the bytecode. If it is Solaris OS, accordingly the JVM will interpret the bytecode. If it is Mac OS, accordingly it will interpret the bytecode. Okay, so this is the job of Java virtual machine. The corresponding class file will contain bytecodes understandable by the respective OS, operating system. Okay, so this Java virtual machine, we are actually calling it as interpreter, as this is doing the job of interpreting the complete source code into the bytecode. Now, what happens at compile time? So if this Java program, this is the source code, and this is fed into the compiler, and the compiler creates bytecode, and that is having the naming convention as same file name with .class extension. Okay, so this is the result of compilation. So when your program is successfully compiled, you will have a .class file in your folder created automatically by the compiler. So .class file is there, we can run it. Okay, so if you are doing some changes in the program, like instead of hello world, I am printing something else, then we have to recompile it again. Then that will be available in the class file. So without recompiling it, simply the same class file I am running means old output only will come. Okay. Now, what happens at runtime? So this class file is executed using the Java. This is execution engine. Okay, Java is the execution engine, and that will load the necessary classes. As I told, we can have multiple classes, separate file also we can have. So this simple welcome Java program is having only one file, one class. So there is no specific job for this class loader. Otherwise, it will load all the necessary files onto it. Okay, and then as a next step, it will verify the bytecode. Then it interprets it. Then get into the runtime. Here, all the necessary runtime variables are allocated with memory. Those things will happen, and that will be given to the hardware, to the display. Okay. Now, for any programming language, we need to know the program structure first, how to save it, how to compile, and how to execute, and how to include the header files or packages here. So in case of C and C++, we are calling it as header files. In case of Java, we are calling it as packages, so that you can remember. packages are similar to header files in C and C++. Okay, already available codes. So those are composed as packages in Java. So that will come along with the JDK installation. So necessarily these things we should know when we are learning a new programming language for any programming language. And after that, the next step would be knowing what are all the data types available, what are all the operators available, and how operator precedence. Like in a single statement, I am giving a plus b plus c star d divided by 2. So if this is a statement, which is done first? If we have included parenthesis, so I have given a plus b into c plus b. So now if this is my statement, obviously which is executed first? Anybody is having any idea? A plus b into c plus b. If this is the expression, which is executed first, which is calculated first? Why? Okay. So I hope you all aware BODMAS rule. What is BODMAS rule? Bracket of division, multiplication, BODMAS. So first bracket of, then division, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. So this is the order. So this multiplication is done first. Then the result is added. So which addition should be completed first? So based on the order of precedence, it will happen. So it is concerned about this operator's precedence. Okay, but if I have given bracket here, C plus B, A plus B, so parenthesis is included, then that is having first priority. As that person told, A plus B is computed first, then C plus B is computed. Finally, these two are multiplied. Okay. So parenthesis makes a main role when we are writing an expression, particularly for calculations, mathematical calculations. Without parenthesis, it is calculated differently. With parenthesis, it is calculated differently. So all these are decided here. Operator precedence. Okay. So how Java has this operator precedence. And then control structures. Do you know what are control structures? Can you recollect the concept what we have studied in PSP? Control structures. Yeah. All the conditions like if else, switch case, for loop, while loop, do while. Okay, all these are coming under control structures. So that will control the flow of the program. Like based on the condition, whether it is going to this flow or this flow, true path or yes path. So it is controlling the flow, the structure of the program. So that it is called as control structure. So how Java uses these control structures? What is the syntax? Is it same, similar to C, or it is different? So those things we are going to see. And how do we create arrays? Do you remember what is an array? Yes, what is an array? Yes, very good. Collection of similar data. Okay, collection of data of same type. So that is an array. So how we can create arrays in Java? Okay, what is the syntax? And naming conventions. So in C and C++, we may have some rules how to create a variable, how to give a name for a variable. Like we cannot give a variable name like uh, one student, but we can give name as student1. Okay, so variable name should not start with a number, it should start with an alphabet. Similar naming conventions are also there in Java. Okay, so I can give a variable name as S, A, B, C. Okay, A1, A2, A3 I can give, but 1A, 1B I cannot give. Okay, and the special symbols we will not be using in variable names and function names and all. Same way, special characters, but only special character allowed is underscore. Okay, so only special character allowed is underscore, like stu underscore age. So this is a valid variable name. So likewise, similarly, we can use here. And other than that, few other naming conventions are there. So that we will be seeing. So one by one, we shall see all these. Okay, so these, what I have listed here are necessary for all the programming languages when we are learning the programming language, initial stage. Okay, we should start with these. So we could say we are somehow familiar with the programming language if these are known. Apart from that, there may be many. Okay, so that we can learn on our own. Only these things need some introduction. Okay. Yes. Now, so this is a sample program structure. I have started with the same simple welcome display. Okay. So the first line you could see import java.io.star. So this you can visualize similar to the header file. Hash include stdio.h. Hash include stdio.h. Okay, so this will be having in C, in C++. C++ you might not have studied. Okay, so in C language, hash include stdio.h. Stdio means standard input output dot h. H represents it is a header file. So what will be the content of this header file? Any of you have any idea? What will be the content of this header file? Already compiled C programs. Okay, commonly used statements are already written as functions and that are already compiled, and the object code is already available, readily available. No need to compile it again. Immediately we can include here and run the program. Okay, so math.h will have commonly used mathematical operations. Okay, for all those already code is written, C code is written and that is compiled, and the compiled form will result an object file for C, isn't it? Program name dot obj. So that part is kept under this header file. Okay, already compiled code is kept in this header file, and simply we are including it, and meaning that something already available in this header file is used in the program. In the same way, in Java, I am mentioning java.io. So IO represents basic input output related functions. So in Java, everything is composed of packages. These packages you can remember similar to folders. Okay, in that way you can relate it. Packages, Packages, packages. Okay, so this Java is the base package, overall package. Under that, several sub packages are there. IO related informations are grouped in IO package. Networking related informations are grouped in net package. Java.net means under Java, net is a package. And language convention related like string to char conversion likewise. Those related files are grouped under lang package. Okay, so several packages are there. So basic input, only output statement I am going to use. So for this I have imported only import java.io. Under IO I may have functions for println, several other functions, input output related. Okay. And which exact class I should import, I am not sure, means I can simply give star. Star means all classes under this package. Okay, all classes under this package, that is the default mean. So which specific class I am not sure means, then I can simply give star. So when we progress, we can see programs like specifically that particular class only will be importing. So that examples all we shall see. Okay. So I hope why import statement that is understood to you. Shall I proceed further? Yes. Okay. So instead of the keyword include, here we are using the keyword import. Okay. Now, all the Java programs must have a class. Okay. So that is the next constraint. Main difference between C program and this Java program. So all Java program, because it is object-oriented programming based, it should have a class. So we'll be generally calling Java as strictly object-oriented, because without this class and object concept, we cannot write the Java program. Okay, strictly object-oriented. But sometimes C++ program, somebody call it as uh, not strictly object-oriented or semi-object-oriented C++. Okay, so because C++ is also object-oriented, but semi-object-oriented. Why? Because we can write C++ similar to C also without following object class conventions. Normally, how do we write C? In the same way also we can write C++, and using object and class also we can write C++. So C++ will not follow strict object-oriented rules, but Java is a strict object-oriented language. So compulsorily, whatever we write, even for this simple display, I am using class. Okay. So this class, you can think similar to structures in C. Okay, not exactly, but somehow you can relate with that. So this class helps us to group similar variables. So you said the definition for arrays, right? Grouping collection of data that are of same data type. Can you recollect what is the structure in C? Yes, collection of different data types. In the same way, this class also will group different data types. Okay. This class is regarding a student data. For that purpose, I am going to create Java application. Mean student roll number, that is of integer type, and student name, that is of string or character array type. Then student mark or GPA, that is of float data type. So I am grouping all these. Okay. In the same way, I can group those variables here inside a class, student class. Okay. So essentially you can relate this class to C programming structure concept. But there are differences. Okay, many differences are there. Somehow you can imagine like that, but many differences are there. So one by one we'll be seeing when the classes progresses. Okay, so now, so the keyword to create a class is class, small case. So in Java, everything is case sensitive. Sensitive means instead of small case, you are giving capital letter, it will be wrong. Okay. So check the first statement again. All are in small cases. All the built-in packages are given with small case only. And the keywords, most of the keywords we will be giving as small case only. And you could see this is the name. Hello Java is the name I am giving to this program. Okay, but you could see here I am giving capital H, capital J. So this is one important naming convention generally followed in Java. All the classes are starting with capital letter. Every word, every next word should start with capital letter. Like I am writing another program. Its name is test test Java. Okay, so capital T, capital J. So generally this type of naming convention is followed. You may ask, ma'am, if I give small case for this hello Java, will it work or not? Yes, it will work. But generally, Java developers follow this convention to quickly identify capital letter comes at the start means it is the name of a class. Okay, so that is a good practice to follow that. And so this line is also over. And next line is open curly bracket. That is, you all know why we are giving that. And next we are starting main. So if it is a student class, I want to give roll number, name, all these variables I can give here. Okay, so this is a very simple program just to have a display. So I am directly starting main. So main has an argument here. So that is another difference with C. So in C program, we'll be giving void main or int main. But here, void main, but inside that there is an argument. So by default, Java accepts command line arguments. Okay, command line arguments, those are of type string. String itself is a data type here. Okay, but in C program, character array. So that is considered as string. But here we have a separate type called string. But actually it is a class that we shall see after. Okay. So command line arguments. If you are familiar with command line arguments in C, it is very easy for you to understand this. So in the forthcoming session, I will teach you how to use this command line argument. Okay, no problem, don't worry. As of now, you simply think it is a command line argument. Okay, while running the program, input is supplied. Okay, then now, so I have given different colors here. Green color public, blue color static, black color void, and violet color main. So the thing is, we should know what is for what, why we are giving all these things. Void main, why we are giving, you all know. Why void main? What is the meaning of void? Can anyone say? Yeah, it doesn't return, okay, null. It returns nothing. So that is the idea. Yes, we can say it as null. Okay. It has been mentioned as static here. The reason is the main function should be the starting line of execution. Okay, immediately it should be executed when I run the class. This hello Java, if I run means the program should start from here without invoking any method. Or you can say in a C program, I wrote a user defined function called display. Okay, so when display is called, display is a user defined function. Will it be called automatically or we have to write a function call? So inside the main program, we have to write function call like display. That the function call I should give like this. Display. Display. So like this, I should give inside main. Then only the corresponding user-defined function is called. Okay. So without this line, automatically main should be called. So for that purpose, we are giving static. Okay. So as this is based on class, every method will be invoked when we invoke it through the object. But main method should be automatically without invoking through the object. So for that purpose, we are making it as static. By simply giving hello Java, the main method should be automatically invoked. So for that purpose, static is given. And public, what is public? Why we are giving public? Yes, yes. We have seen that Java is mainly suitable for internet programming. Internet programming means what? From somewhere we will be accessing a server that is located somewhere else. Okay. So from anywhere we will be accessing that Java program. So it should be accessible from anywhere. For that purpose, the main program is always public. Okay. Now inside that we have to write one print line. So for this, it is normally in C, we will be writing printf. But here you could see system dot out dot println. So system, what can you infer by seeing this system word? Any guesses here by simply seeing this system? How I have written small case, uppercase. Any guesses? Yes, very good. It relates to the class. Why? Yes, starting letter is capital letter, so it is a class. This class I didn't create. The class I have created is Hello Java. I didn't create system class. So where was it available? Under the built-in package java.id. Okay, so it is already available class. Already available class, I am simply using it. So system, under system, we have one object called out. Out is mainly for referring to the output console, where our output is displayed. Okay, that is our output console. So in that output console, I want this program to print this information, hello Java. So what I have given within double quotes is printed in the output console. So this is the complete idea about the program, Java's basic program structure. Okay. Now, how to save this program? So my class name is Hello Java. You could see here my class name is Hello Java. And I'll be saving the program as hello java.java. Okay. Next. So in the parent folder where I am storing this program, I have to give Java C hello java.java as we have given in the morning previous session. Okay, this is for compiling the program in method 1. And after successful compilation, it will be resulting like this. Then to execute the program, I should give Java hello Java. Okay, Java C is for compilation. For that, .java should be given. And Java is for execution. For that, no need to give .java because this is executing the class file. .class hello java.class is created after the compilation. Okay, once the compilation is successful, automatically hello java.class has been created. So this class file we are executing here. Okay. So if I give different name for the class here, here it is hello Java, but I am saving it only with hello. Means what should I do? While compiling it, I should give hello only, hello.java. It will create the class folder based on the class name. So what is my class name? Hello Java. That is my class name. So I should use hello Java here. So here only Java, the only hello.java. Here I should give hello Java. So I have to carefully remember what is the file name, what is the class name. So while compiling it, I should give file name. While running it, I should give class name. So to avoid this confusion, it is better to save the program as per the class name. So here also I can give same and here also I can give same. Okay. So that is the reason we are normally using the same name for class as well as file. Okay. File name and the class name. So when we are using Eclipse IDE or NetBeans IDE, that is automatically checking that. Other than class name, you are giving different file name means automatically it reports some error. Okay. And normally when we are typing in the editor means we can give differently, but we have to remember. I'm going to do only 2 or 3 programs means okay, I can remember. I'm going to do 50, 60 programs means it is difficult for me to remember. Okay. So it is better practice. Keep the same name for class as well as file. Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this part? Shall I proceed? Or you need some more explanation? Okay, okay. Okay. So now import is a keyword to include packages and Java is the parent package. Java.io. IO here is the sub package. Java.io.star. This represents all classes, all built-in classes under Java package. Java.io package. Okay, so that is the meaning here. Now to summarize, we have seen the types of Java applications like standalone application, web application, uh, enterprise application and mobile application, and JVM, JRE, JDK, and what is IDE, how to create and run a simple Java program. So these things we have seen. So next step is to proceed with data types. Okay. So in Java, we have two broad categories of data types, primitive and non-primitive. So primitive will have Boolean type and numeric type. So Boolean is new here. Boolean is a new category here which was not available in C program. Okay. This Boolean represents true or false. Only two possible values. True or false. Okay. And numeric type has character integral part. So character part is having char data type. Integral part is having further two subdivisions, integers and floating point values. So integers are having normally in C program only int, short, long. These are all the prefixes. We will be giving long int, short int, unsigned int, unsigned int. Isn't it? In that way we'll be using here. short, long, int. One more extra is there, that is byte. Okay. So in C programming, short int, long int. In that way it will be considered, but here simply short. Okay. Short itself is a data type. Byte, short, int, long. Okay. Four different types to represent integer whole number. And for floating point, similar to C, we have float and double. Okay. And for the non-primitive category, we can call it as derived data type in C. So similarly, we have string, arrays, and so many other will be having that we shall see when it progresses. So as for now, you can remember, apart from C, we have byte, boolean, and these two are extra here. Char, int, float, double are already we have seen, and short and long we have already familiar, but the usage is different here. There we'll be using short and long along with int, but here separately short and separately long. Okay. So this slide you can remember always. Okay. The data type categorization in Java. Okay. Now, Boolean default value is false and it occupies only one bit. 0 means false, 1 means true. That's all. Only one bit. Okay. Character default value is unsigned, all zeros. Null. Null is the character and it occupies 2 bytes. So one difference here. In C program, character occupies only 1 byte. Here it occupies 2 bytes. Because using Java, I can support more characters than this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, plus minus those symbols. Apart from that, it supports native languages also. Hindi, Sanskrit, Tamil. For that also, because in mobile we are using a Tamil font also, so many things, isn't it? So most of them are developed using Java. So it should have provision for other native languages also. For that, the character size is long. Okay, so it is following 2 byte Unicode extension instead of ASCII values. Okay, and then byte. So this byte data type, these 4 are integers. Okay, these 4 are belonging to integral integer category, and default value for all these is 0. For long, we'll be representing it as 0 in long format. 0 L. So byte occupies 1 byte, short occupies 2 byte, int occupies 4 bytes. That is another difference here. Okay. Long occupies 8 bytes. And then float occupies 4 bytes. Double occupies 8 bytes. So among this, long and double are having highest size. Okay. Int and float are having similar size. So this also you can remember. Data type and its size. Okay. So now, before proceeding, like operators and all, we shall see in the next session. And I'll be running one simple program using this data type. Okay. So here in the same program, I am doing some, or we can create another program. Okay. Create new class. My class name is sample type. Okay, sample data type is using program. So I am giving sample type. I am giving finish. So it is creating the skeleton for me. So simply what I have to do, my own program I should type. Int A equal to 5, B equal to 7, comma C. Okay. Now what should I do? C equal to A plus B. very basic program. Normally, we try with any programming language. Now I have to print the result of system dot. So when you see this IDE is having so many provisions. So after typing dot, it is automatically suggesting these are all the possible things we can give. Okay, so we can, if we don't remember the exact word or something, simply give dot, what should come after that, that will be automatically giving, and it is tracking. You could see automatically it is tracking what type of error will occur, everything. This IDE is a very good platform. We can learn nicely using this IDE. System dot, when I give dot after out, it is suggesting what are all the possible functions we can use here. You could see print with boolean, print with character, print with character array, print with double. All these are already available. Print with float, print with int, likewise. Everything is available. So now we are going to give print ln. Okay. Print ln. What I should print? The result is plus. Plus means concatenate the result. Okay, the result is a string, and to that the variable value c that I have to print. So I am giving the result is, here I am giving a space. Okay, the result is c, and at the end I am giving semicolon. So this is one simple program. Public class sample type, public static void main. So this is the command line argument. 3 variables I have declared. For A 5, for B 7, C equal to A plus B, and I am printing value of C. Now I am saving this program and running it. Now the result is 12. So that has come here. Okay, 5 plus 7, 12. So that has come. So in that way, we shall learn one by one all the programming concepts, and we parallelly run the program and work on it. Okay. So I hope this was helpful to you.